Photography is the art of writing with light, and daylight is the most obvious canvas. But light also exists at night, softer, quieter, more mysterious. The night can feel intimidating, distant, at least that's what I thought. Until one cold winter night in Manchester back in 2016 when I took my camera and stepped into the dark for the first time. I almost left my camera in the bag that night, and if I had, I would still believe the night was empty. But I didn't, and what I discovered changed how I see photography forever. I used to fear the night, handling the camera, finding light, composing the photo. It all felt too difficult, so I avoided it, missing the quiet beauty the darkness offered. But one winter evening back in 2016 in Manchester changed that. The city was silent, snow was falling slowly, and the streets glowed under orange lamps. As I walked back from the university, my camera stayed in the bag, as always. I was afraid I wouldn't know what to do with it. But just before I reached home, I stopped. It's now or never, I thought. I unzipped my bag, took out the camera, and began to shoot. No plan, no perfect light, no skill, just curiosity, and a city that suddenly looked nothing like itself. Every sound, a click, a breath, a whisper of wind, felt amplified by the silence. And that's when I realized night photography is nothing to fear. In fact, it's a wonderland that was about to teach me how to see all over again. At first, I didn't understand the night. I trusted auto mode and the results were chaos. Overexposed lights, blurry figures, glowing halos everywhere. What I saw with my eyes never matched what appeared on the screen. So I decided to learn. I stopped guessing and started listening to the language of light, how it fades, stretches and shapes everything it touches. Exposure stopped being numbers and became instinct. I learned how shutter speed controls time, how aperture decides depth, and how ISO decides how sensitive the camera becomes to light. That's the exposure triangle, the language of light itself. Back then I had an Nikon D3200 and later a Sony a7 II with a 50 and an 85mm lens. I was obsessed with bokeh, silhouettes and drama, and the night loved that. Flickering sun is turning into shimmering orbs at f1.8. Raindrops on windows became constellations. But the more I learned, the more I realized that night had moods of its own, each one teaching me something different about light. If you are enjoying the video so far, hit the like button, the new hype button, and consider subscribing with the bell. Rain is the amplifier of night. Once the sun falls, it transforms everything. Streets become mirrors, neon signs stretch across pavements, and reflections double the world. What once felt ordinary, it now feels cinematic. Raindrops slide down umbrellas, puddles glow under streetlights, strangers blur into reflections, each one telling a story of its own. On rainy nights, the city hums with light and motion. Rain complicates everything, autofocus hands, lenses fog, and yet every mistake adds character. Night also taught me to bend time. Slowing the shutter for a second or two turns movement into memory, trails of light, ghosts of motion. Then panning showed me another rhythm. At 1/8 of a second I could follow motion instead of freezing it. That's when I realized photography sometimes isn't just about capturing a single moment in time, it's about shaping it, turning seconds into frozen motion and translate it into emotion. Every kind of weather carries its own version of the night. Rain shimmers, but fog transforms everything. It softens the world. It hides what's distant and reveals what's close. Street lamps and car lights transform into clouds of color, bending reality into a dream. Nights like that are perfect for storytelling. They let you isolate your subjects, simplify your compositions, and build emotion through what you don't show. I'd head out whenever I sensed fog coming, chasing the diffused cinematic look. The cold air on my face, my hands frozen stiff. It was uncomfortable and yet beautiful. The city felt quieter, as if it was holding its breath. That's when I began to care less about perfection and more about mood, how light and color could express feeling. Deep blues, muted yellows, the orange haze of sodium lamps. A painter's palette I once disliked, now it's filled with meaning. I understood that color at night isn't just visual, it's emotional. It can make a scene feel lonely, nostalgic, or even hopeful. But light and color are only part of the puzzle. The other piece is story, because without story, the puzzle remains unfinished. The night isn't just a time of day, it's a canvas, a dark stage that has stories to tell. Every reflection, every shadow, every hue is a fragment of a story waiting to unfold. Light bouncing off a window or spreading through fog isn't random, it's language. It exaggerates emotion, hides details, invites imagination. At night, the world stops being literal. A puddle becomes a portal. A reflection becomes a dialogue between two words. A neon light, a feeling rather than an object. Abstraction isn't confusion, it's freedom. It lets you move beyond documentation and into imagination. Through abstraction, I started to notice how emptiness carries its own presence. An empty street still holds stories. A forgotten chair on the side of the street, a pink bicycle under a pink tree, the faint glow behind the curtain. Street photography doesn't need people to be about people. Sometimes it's the traces they leave behind that speak the loudest. Light, shadow, reflections, they're not just visual tools. They're vehicles for storytelling, ways to express open-ended, emotional, deeply human moments, even when no one is there to play the part. The night taught me to expose for emotion, not perfection, to let the feeling of a scene guide the settings, not the histogram. It taught me to let the shadows speak, because not everything needs to be seen for the story to be told. It taught me patience, that manual control rewards those who are willing to wait, to slow down and listen to the rhythm of the night. I learned to search for reflections, for dim light outlining a figure, for silhouettes crossing in front of a shop window's glow. Those small details that turn ordinary moments into fragments of a story. I learned to embrace noise, because sometimes imperfection is texture, and texture is context. And most of all, the night taught me to go out even when it feels too dark, because that's when you stop chasing the light and you start discovering it. The night used to intimidate me. I avoided, thinking that good photos exist only under soft light and clear skies. But now it inspires me, because photography isn't about the perfect light, it's about what we do with the light we have. The night showed me that emotion can live in shadows, that beauty can exist in noise, and that meaning doesn't have to be visible to be felt. Every time I step outside, rain, fog, snow, or silence, I see it differently. It's not darkness anymore, it's possibility. A space where imagination takes over, where silence speaks, and where light feels earned. In the dark, I learned to see. So let me ask you, are you shooting at night? What has the night ever taught you? If this video resonated with you, maybe share it with someone who wants to shoot at night but hasn't taken the leap yet. And if you would like to keep growing together, you can subscribe or even become a member to support the work behind these films. To keep exploring growth in photography, click and watch this video next about how shooting in boring light completely transformed how I see the world. That was all for today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I will see you on the streets. Bye bye.